The U.S. military is developing an interceptor intended to knock down hypersonic boost glide vehicles specifically for deployment on U.S. Navy Arleigh Burke-class destroyers, equipped with the Aegis Ballistic Missile Defense system. The Regional Glide Phase Weapon System, RGPWS, is a concept for an interceptor against a hypersonic glide vehicle, HGV. U.S. Navy Admiral Jon Hill, head of the U.S. Missile Defense Agency, MDA, provided few insights into the program at the annual McAleese Defense Programs Conference in Washington, D.C. on March 4, 2020. Currently, the U.S., and for that matter, any military in the world, doesn't have a viable defense against hypersonic glide vehicle, which in itself are very new tech. In this video, Defense Updates analyzes how the U.S. plans to defend against Russian and Chinese hypersonic boost glide vehicles. Let's get started. This video is sponsored by the free-to-play military vehicle combat game War Thunder. We talk a lot about military vehicles on this channel, but what about trying them out for yourself? In War Thunder, you can choose from more than 1,200 playable vehicles from the 1930s to the 1990s and go to battle on more than 80 theaters of war. You can fly aircraft, helicopters, drive tanks, and command ships of all types and sizes, which have been carefully recreated from their real-world counterparts. It's available as a free download on PC, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One with cross-platform support. So grab your friends and give it a try. All viewers of Defense Updates that register using the link in the description below will also get a free premium tank, aircraft, or ship, and 3 days of premium account time as a bonus. An object is said to be hypersonic once they exceed speeds of Mach 5, or 5 times the speed of sound. This is about 1,715 meters per second, or 3,836 miles per hour, or 6,174 kilometers per hour. There are currently 3 methods being applied to make hypersonic weapons. The first is using a scramjet engine. The scramjet is an innovation on the ramjet. Ramjet engines can power flight to supersonic speeds, but scramjet can enable the missiles to reach hypersonic speeds. A scramjet engine can power a hypersonic cruise missile. The second is through the use of ALBM, or Air-Launched Ballistic Missile. As the name suggests, this kind of missile is ballistic in nature, but it's launched from air, unlike traditional ballistic missiles, which are launched from land or sea-based platforms. The third is using HGV, or Hypersonic Glide Vehicle. In this method, the system is launched to extremely high altitudes using a ballistic missile or an aircraft, where it skips across the Earth's upper atmosphere. The vehicle then separates from the carrier and glides back to the Earth towards its intended target, attaining hypersonic speed. Missile Defense Agency, or MDA, has made it clear that RGPWS is primarily intended to be used against hypersonic boost glide vehicles, rather than scramjet-powered hypersonic cruise missiles or air-launched ballistic missiles. Russia has recently claimed that it deployed its first nuclear-capable hypersonic boost glide vehicle. The Russian Defense Minister, Sergei Shoigu, told Putin that the first missile unit equipped with the avant-garde has entered combat duty. Mr. Shoigu said during a conference call with top military leaders, "I congratulate you all on this landmark event for the military and the entire nation." Chief of the Strategic Missile Forces, General Sergei Karakev, said during the call that the avant-garde has been put on duty with a unit in the Orenburg region in the southern Ural Mountains. President Vladimir Putin stated that it puts his country in a class of its own. He described the avant-garde, which can fly at 27 times the speed of sound, as a technological breakthrough, compared to the 1957 Soviet launch of the first satellite. Mr. Putin has said that Russia's new generation of nuclear weapons can hit almost any point in the world and evade a US-built missile shield. Chinese effort in this direction is less matured. China had shown off mock-ups of its road-mobile DF-17, which also carries a hypersonic boost glide vehicle for the first time at a military parade in Beijing last year. Arleigh Burke-class destroyers is among the largest destroyers built in the United States, and the warships of this class are multi-mission combatants capable of performing different kinds of missions, like anti-aircraft warfare (AAW), anti-submarine warfare (ASW), and anti-surface warfare (ASUW). U.S. Navy has more than 65 of these in active service. It has an overall length of 155 meters and displacement of about 9,200 tons. The Arleigh Burke design incorporates several stealth configurations like angled rather than traditional vertical surfaces. It makes these warships hard to target by anti-ship missile. For propulsion, it has 4 General Electric LM2500 30 gas turbines generating 75 megawatts of power, driving 2 shafts. It has a speed of 30+ knots or around 55+ kilometers per hour, and a range of 4,400 nautical miles or 8,100 kilometers. U.S. carrier strike groups generally have one or more of these destroyers to protect the supercarriers. These warships also undertake missions independently. The RGPWS will be integrated with the Aegis combat system. The Arleigh Burke class of guided missile destroyer is the United States Navy's first class of destroyers to be built from the ground up to incorporate the Aegis combat system. The system is designed by the United States Department of Defense Missile Defense Agency to protect against short and intermediate range ballistic missiles. Aegis combat system is devised to intercept ballistic missiles post-boost phase and prior to re-entry. It enables the Arleigh Burke-class warships to shoot down enemy ballistic missiles by expanding the Aegis combat system with the addition of the ANSPY-1 radar and standard missiles. Aegis BMD-equipped vessels can transmit their target detection information to other systems and, if needed, engage potential threats by using standard missile like SM-3 and SM-6. The centerpiece of the Aegis systems is a very powerful multi-purpose ANSPY-1 radar. It's considered to be one of the most advanced naval radars that can automatically detect and track targets. The high power of 4 megawatts enables it to simultaneously track over 100 targets and guide missiles. The 4 fixed arrays of SPY direct electromagnetic beams in all directions concurrently and continuously, unlike traditional search radars which have rotating antennas that can track a target once every 360-degree sweep. The radar can be made to focus onto a single target when needed without blinding the warship against other threats. MDA's budget request for the 2021 fiscal year, a public version of which came out in February, specifically mentions plans to integrate the new interceptor with the Aegis Ballistic Missile Defense System. Arleigh Burke-class warships have 92 Mark 41 vertical launch system cells. These cells can be used to deploy several kinds of weapons like Tomahawk land attack cruise missile and anti-ballistic missile like SM-2 and SM-6. Vice Admiral Hill stated that initially the interceptor will be deployed to a ship launch application with Mark 41 VLS. In total, MDA has asked for around $117 million in fiscal year 2021 for the overall glide phase defeat weapon system effort. This will include the development of the RGPWS interceptor, upgrade to the Aegis BMD system, as well as other supporting work. Viewers may note that it received a little over $88.5 million in the previous fiscal year for these projects. Currently, details about the RGPWS interceptor's design remain very limited, and officials working on this have been tight-lipped. Threats from hypersonic weapons are getting more serious with every day. It's to be noted that America's Government Accountability Office (GAO) report has stated that the U.S. currently lacks the defense required to protect against the latest crop of hypersonic weapons being developed by China and Russia. The report states, China and Russia are pursuing hypersonic weapons because their speed, altitude, and maneuverability may defeat most missile defense systems, and they may be used to improve long-range conventional and nuclear strike capabilities. There are no existing countermeasures. Viewers can go through the report from the link given in the description section below. In its response to the GAO, the Department of Defense described the report as an accurate, although sobering, macro picture of how the U.S. stands in the world against emerging threats. It's high time the U.S. military did something about it, and this is exactly how things are panning out.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more videos like this. Hit the like button if you find the video interesting, and kindly provide your feedback in the comment section. This will help us improve.